feelings I never felt in my life. It's hard to explain, what I'm going through is new. I'm good looking, clean up well, but without this fine young little lady, I'm still in hell. She's brown skinned, Eritrean. Love every second and the time that we spend. We're good friends, there's no need to pretend. The way she walks and moves her hips, those smooth curves, I just love to kiss. It's Sunday morning, make her breakfast in bed, bring her a latte and chill up in the spread, and manifest all the thoughts in my head. The comforter of my life. You know what? She may not know it, I want her to be my wife. It was my fondest wish to stay the night. She's doing fine on her own, about to buy a home. Me, I'm working out some shit, but I've grown. I'm working hard to keep things right. Focus on my music so we can have a life outside of the system and the bright lights. She feeds me juice and curry when I'm hungry. Caress me on my body, it feels lovely. A lot of pain that I took on in my life, I need you to make it right. Need you to make it right. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right. I wanna make love tonight. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right. I wanna make love tonight. Brown eyes, caramel skin, beautiful face, where do I begin? Your hips, they keep making me excited. Your breasts, just how I like it. If you're the key to my life, then will you be there for me? All I'm asking is will you trust in me? It's complicated, but I wanna do it right. If we keep true to the love, we can make life. Your destiny is to be with me. I'm waiting for you to be one with me. Your soulmate, I would do anything for you. Baby girl, it's you I adore. Word life, you are my life. I won't deal with nothing that's trife. We're gonna spend all our time together, me and you, girl, forever. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right. I wanna make love tonight. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right. I wanna make love tonight. I know how to see a whack MC when he bustin', but I just back away real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds. Open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you, despite the system trying to clamp down on the people. People will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far, but evil that lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin, but then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. Listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, homeboy, shut up and listen. Thelonious and Big Bennett, brother, check the vision. Mentalities, several different realities. Enter the Star Trek room when you hear the boom. I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player. With the delayer, freaky lyrical sprayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC/master of the ceremony. Testimony, won't you come step with me? I'm on a historical journey, kinda like Sigourney. Implore me to represent the attorney that represents my niggas. Go figure, it's the card. They call me Uncle Bigger. Niggas slug your blunts down your liquors. I read the parallel to the fiction. You're fixated on this brother's nature. Relaxed behavior, I might save your change. Flip it, rearrange. The whole concept, yo, is good for all your brain. Insane, psychotic, neurotic, black onyx, and hooked on phonics, just atomic. Bees like a bonnet. Cut with the Asiatic, they all up on it. Rhyme static with the bombastic type of skill. You wonder, is this nigga Vic really for real? It's still, but only necessary in the berry. I'm milk like dairy, they quite contrary. That's scary, but I'm a dog in the prairie. I scurry to grab my bones and just bury. Lyrical flurry, go get your secretary with impeccable dictions. My style might vary, so get a hold of your own shit real fast. Fucking with us, we take it right out your ass. Prairie dogs chill while the other dogs howl. Too many dogs get sent to the pound. Back on the hill, me and my peeps just lounge. Prairie dogs, we keep it on the down. Splatter, don't like gun splatter. We try to climb the ladder, wicked men get better. They make it like splatter, but it really don't matter. Cause you know we coming back to our sons and our daughters. So follow him, the one who protects ya. And the mother, she will never neglect ya. Through divine nature, the people respect ya. And in this way I deliver my lecture. They want war. Crying babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't, cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversion, every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversion, every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Another day. It is Friday. Happy Friday. I'm glad to see everybody survive this, to this end of this week. I mean, hopefully you make it home safe. Those of you that are in the Americas around this time, and those of you in the EU, you're already, EU and Africa, you're already home. It's the evening time. It's 12 midnight. And I guess that would make it, what is that over there? It's 3, is it 2? What did Bit say? You said it was 3:50 p.m. right? 3. So that's 4 o'clock. So it's 4 o'clock in Arizona. All right. So and of course it's like 4 a.m. something like that, 3 a.m. in Asia. So big up to everybody on Earth. As a matter of fact, I mean, I may as well say hello to everybody because some of my followers are from some different parts of the world. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing because you get a chance, when you tune in to hear authentic American. Somebody once called me that, and have you ever been called an authentic something else? I was also called an authentic African American also once in my life. I was called that by someone. And I just thought it was so interesting. But American, authentic American that lives outside of the United States of America. So that's an interesting dynamic there. And so therefore I know what it's like to have, how can I say, just a small degree of difference, right? Small degree of separation, and then just having to learn like where that degree is and, what is special about that degree. And, sometimes one small little thing can actually change the trajectory of a lot. You'd be surprised, And so I know what that's like living in a country that has universal health care, universal education for all. And, and I know what it's like to come from a country that doesn't. The United States, and never had it. The United States of America. I have to say it like that. And never had it. A place that doesn't and never had it. The United States of America has never had universal health care and universal education. And that in this time and age of technology is some fucking bullshit. So those little things right there can mean a whole fucking lot to your life, to how you experience life. So hopefully the voters in the U.S. get that shit handled. And if not, then somebody else going to have to get it handled. If the voters can't handle it, someone else will handle it. And that is just how it is. Actually, Congress and the Senate and the Supreme Court should have already handled that. But culturally, they're against universal health care and against universal education, obviously, right? Because, come on, these aren't new ideas. There's a reason why it didn't happen yet. And I'm thinking it has a lot to do with corporations' money, and it has to pretty much be, because how else would you get a motherfucker like Donald Trump as president? I mean, he is the living manifestation of everything that these rich motherfuckers, the wealthy, I'm not saying everybody, but the extremely wealthy, I mean, this is their concoction. A Donald J. Trump is their concoction. It's theirs, Now, I'll give Elon Musk a lot of credit. He takes up a lot of space in that room, and there's not many that have the power that he has given that, right? So I won't put them all in the circle all the damn time, the same circle. But I mean, yeah, a lot of them kind of helped out or went along long enough. Now, just think of this. If this was a Nazi situation, right? A lot of us would be getting put in the motherfucking train just by people like that. You know, even the people that aren't so bad that are wealthy, just having them by lieu of them wanting to have a seat at the table, they will watch horrific things happen. And that's just as bad, because at the end of the day, you know, what difference does it make if somebody is really out to kill you or someone else just sat there and watched them kill you? Like, what's the real difference at the end of the day? You see what I mean? So, yeah, so you know, it really is a situation where it's kind of like, it makes you wonder. 2026, no, the United States, the richest country on earth, never found it proper to have universal health care and universal education for all of its citizens, you know, and that's the extent of the love right there. That's the extent of the love. That's the extent of the pride. The pride goes no further than where it is. The love goes no further for where it is. And what you feel about another citizen goes no further than where it is in education and healthcare in the United States of America. Like, flat out, you can take out a ruler and just have that written on it. Education and healthcare here, up here, and none. In USA, education, you know, universal healthcare up here, that would be up there at the top of the ruler, and no universal healthcare, that would be all the way down here near the zero. Near the 1, 2, 3, 4 mark. You know what I'm saying? On the ruler and shit. It's like, but hey, you have to judge things, and this is life. You know, that's a part of life, making judgment calls and calling shit out. But in any case, in lieu of that, right? In celebration of that, the news must go on. And, you know, it's America really has the U.S. I won't say America, and we got to stop saying the United States of America is America. We have to stop doing that. It's not America. It's the U.S., especially this time. It could have been the last time too, but definitely this time with Trump, it is motherfucking the United States of America. Don't put Donald Trump on everybody else in America. Because he's a little extra. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not American. Don't even put Donald Trump on America. Donald Trump ain't fucking American. Let's just say that right now. He is not fucking American. Culturally, he's not American. No, we don't own his ass. Please, don't give him to us. Take him back to wherever the hell. No, actually, don't take him back, because that's too close to where I'm from. But keep his ass where I'm at. I mean, not from where I'm at. So keep his ass away from here too. Just throw him in jail like all the people that he pardons. You know, please put Trump in jail for a long time. I mean, is it good enough? You know what I think they should probably do? They should probably don't let him die, right? Keep his body alive just long enough to just have him so his soul doesn't go off into the universe. Make it stuck there in the body and in a jail cell, just there on a resuscitator and shit. And just and don't let him fucking die. You know, keep him there. Don't let his soul go back out into the universe. Keep it in that body. While he's behind bars and incapacitated for the rest of his fucking life. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, you know. But in celebration of that, right? Here's some more Donald Trump shit. I mean, it really makes me wonder. It really does make me wonder, when is the cap going to stop with this? When is the other universe? When is the other universe going to just fucking like disappear? Stay away from me. Like, why is this Trump universe surrounding everything like it's like evil? I mean, this is like a Marvel movie and shit, you know? With Trump, he is pure evil, pure soullessness, you know, the absence of everything. This motherfucker's like a black hole. He just sucks up everything into a negative energy. Not like a black hole, but you know what I mean? He sucks up all the... He's a force. He's definitely a force, a negative force on the human species, a negative force. You know, he goes against nature. Look, I mean, how can I describe this? He goes against nature. Donald Trump goes against nature. I'm quite sure there is something about him that is not actually animal. There must someone got, or not human, not earthly. Maybe an alien got into his brain and shit or something like. But this motherfucker is a menace on Earth. And by the way, big up to Denmark. Yeah, for the shoot first policy, it looks like that was the key to it. You know, shoot first doctrine by the Danish parliament heads and the prime minister. The defense department gave some simple advice to the Danish troops: shoot first. Don't call us. You shoot first. Call us later. Call us some other time. Matter of fact, we don't want to call. Shoot first. And I think that got Trump's attention because Trump knows, motherfucker, do you want World War III to start right now, bitch? Like, do you? Because it can start. It can start, motherfucker. And, you know, this is the thing. You know, he blinked. You see what I mean? He got shook there because he realized that the world wasn't going to stop for his bitch ass. You see what I mean? Now, I don't know if Americans inside of America are going to continue to play this game, but nobody else is fucking playing it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else, even Denmark is not fucking playing this game. Like, what the? And Trump, his bitch ass got embarrassed. Just like he should. Just like he should. He is the embodiment of embarrassment. I mean, it's either he get embarrassed or you get embarrassed. Which one is it going to be? And he got embarrassed because, again, only certain types of Americans are putting up with this shit. Nobody else outside of the U.S. gives a fuck, especially on this side of Earth. Like, you want to try to raise the weapon over here, the weapon will get raised back. I mean, if you want to go crazy, motherfucker, we can all go crazy. It can all be about honor. You know, there's some honor over here. I'm going to tell you, Europeans have some honor. It's true. I'm not, and you got a taste of it. And you got a taste of how much honor Donald Trump does not fucking have. But let's be real. Even just despite the honor, you know, the math of it, he's playing a deadly game with American lives. Essentially, that's what Donald Trump is doing. He's playing a deadly game with everybody's life. But he's really playing a deadly game with Americans' lives because right about now, Americans are the only person that accept Donald Trump to mean anything. Like, nobody else gives a fuck about Donald Trump. And I'm an American citizen born and raised in Washington, D.C. Family goes back on both sides to the colonial period. I'm here in the EU to tell you that shit. Nobody outside of America gives a fuck about Donald Trump. And the only people that are left on earth that care about fucking Donald J. Trump is a small amount of Americans. Not even the majority, but a small amount. Just a small amount. And that small amount is dwindling. And it's going to be a reckoning. It's going to be a reckoning. You know, it is. You can't imagine it. You can go crazy in your brain all you want. You can go to QAnon websites and try to figure out how this is not really happening. You can try to figure out how, you know, Hillary Clinton drinking baby blood on Epstein Island is the reason why all this magic is happening, but it's not real. If that's what you want to go down, you want to go down that path, go down that path. But everyone else is saying, no, this is about math and numbers. Also, math and numbers. Like, I mean, Trump, you really think you're going to fucking put tariffs on, you're going to put tariffs on the EU, and you think, who do you think you're hurting? Listen, American citizens, I've been telling you this. I've been saying this consistency. You are to hurt more, way more. I said this off the top, and don't come back here. I know my real listeners ain't going to, you know, I'm not talking to y'all right now, but don't nobody come back here telling me that I didn't just say that shit a couple of days ago. I said it. The tariffs are going to hurt Americans first. This is going to hurt Americans 3 to 4 times more. And so if he goes through with this, that's no incentive for the EU to back down because they know it's going to hurt Americans 3 to 4 times more in the pocket. These tariffs that Donald Trump suggested, because if you don't look into how the economies are built in the first place, and what role the middle class plays and the poor play in the society, number one, right? And you don't look how the economy is structured, middle class, the working class. If you don't look at those things, you're going to make some critical mistakes. And the bottom line is that you just can't lock the EU in like that on those kind of tariffs. That's not going to work. It's having the opposite effect. And that's why Trump changed it. Trump can say all of this stupid shit to his followers because those are the only people that listen to him, right? But the rest of the world is not going on magic. They need return. They're going to analyze every little thing, every little aspect of what Trump is talking about, and they already figured it out. I mean, the only people that are willing to that are scared of Trump is American citizens. Like, nobody else is fucking scared of Trump. Not about the tariffs. Not about the tariffs, not about the. I mean, some people should be scared about the weapons and the U.S. military, but the EU is not one of those people. The EU's not scared. They're not scared because they know how to deal with crazy too. You know what I mean? And if everybody just want to get crazy, on a Prince song or some shit, let's get crazy. Okay. They know how to get crazy too. And Trump was like, oh shit, these motherfuckers are willing to like actually go there. Damn. And whoever suggested that move to Trump was totally stupid. It was like crazy and just threw Trump out there to do it. You know what I mean? Someone who knew was like, fuck it, let's just go and tell Trump to do that. And he went out there and did it, and he found out, nah, it ain't gonna work. But that is our president is the most embarrassing creature on earth, really. It is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. It's a sham on the human species, on American citizens, also the taxpayers, the citizens. I mean, this is a troll. Trump is a troll. He's a true troll. You know what I'm saying? In nature, sent to the United States to fuck over American citizens, like sent by somebody. And when they find out who that somebody is, that's going to be a glorious day, because it's going to have to be some revenge. It's going to have to be some revenge. A lot of people are going to have to go to jail. A lot of people are going to, be exposed for what they are. The Epstein files will also get out. That will be a good day, because we know it's not happening under Trump, because, right, they said something like Trump's name is in the Epstein files. What, 30,000? Is it 3,000 or 30,000 times? It may be more than any other individual, period, but we know while Trump is president, that's not going to come out, right? So, yeah. But in any case, that's not the worst of it. I mean, the United States has its ass out there to the public right now. We are vulnerable, and because of Donald Trump, because of the Republican Party, because of MAGA, these right wingers, wanted to link up with Putin and do these kind of, allow them to interfere in our elections, help them spread disinformation, right, to stop people from voting. Right. They did all of this stuff, and because a lot of people felt hopeless. But when you get all this disinformation over the internet, you feel more hopeless. Right. I mean, like literally. And this is what allowed Donald Trump to slip in there, a motherfucker. And you already know what it is when you have news agencies, right, openly saying, let me see. Is it here? Where is this at? Well, oh, yeah. Let me pull this up. News agencies. Let me see here. Yeah, when you have news agencies out here, can I pull this up? Out here talking about Elon Musk, right? And damn, am I doing this? Where is this at? How come that didn't come up? Sorry about this. I just need to check something. Why didn't that come up? Here it is. Okay. Yeah, when you have this going on right here, Social Security, Elon Musk, Doge improperly shared sensitive Social Security data with a right, yes they did, with a political pact that was using it to interfere with the election, like straight up. When you have stuff like this going on, it's really a bad day for a democracy, right? The richest man on earth, pulling all the levers, and you have to imagine, if he's pulling this many levers, you have to imagine that he's actually pulling more levers than this. You know that it's not going to just be these levers that you see out in the open that are obvious. Like, it's not going to just be like he's involved with getting government contracts. It's not going to just be that, right? It's not going to just be this thing about the Social Security, right? That you find out they used that information and turned it over to other entities. That's illegal. That's actually a crime. That's a federal crime, right? You can't just do that. And they turned over your family members' information, and yours likely, and mine maybe, who knows? And but this is out in the open. It's not just the buying of the election, going out and saying we're going to give $1 million to whoever signs up to vote this year. You know what I mean? These kind of drives, not just that. And not just the disinformation, which is public over X and over Twitter. He bought that just to turn the election, to spread disinformation. So, a logical thinking person, when dealing with criminals, that what you see up front is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the tip of the iceberg. That's all. The shit that is underneath the sea level is the big part, which has got to be gigantic. And I myself, I believe that there's a lot going on. There's a lot of arm twisting. There's a lot of paying of like the poll. Look at the poll here. The poll says the poll only has one answer. Why is Trump still? Oh, what the fuck am I saying? Oh, did I write this right? I'm sorry. I got to end that damn poll. That's the wrong poll. I mistyped it. It's supposed to be, why is Trump still? Yeah, exactly. That was right. But in any case, why is Trump still not president? But I should have rewrote it another way. Why is he still president? That's what I meant to write. What the fuck? But in any case, you get the idea, because money paying Congress, paying the Senate, paying the Supreme Court, right? Paying these people, it has to be it. Like, the only reason Trump can be president is, at this point, is because the richest man on earth likely is paying people straight up out of the pocket. There has to be so much arm twisting going on right now. It is the only way. I mean, when your president goes overseas to just show it the whole world, I'm a madman, and they still haven't impeached him yet. And you seeing criminality. How many times do you have to see criminality on the surface? Elon Musk, Social Security. They even knew. This is what people even said that was going to happen. And it happened. Of course, then the MAGA people was like, that ain't going to happen, man. What you talking about? You just cried. Well, it happened. That happened too. Like, really, at this point, you have to wonder, because this is not logical. It's not rational. Sorry. You have to understand something, Americans. There's not one group of people from any country on earth that would ever look at this situation than anything else but insane, totally, like, total corruption, the highest level of corruption you've ever seen on earth. Probably, maybe not as long as Putin's corruption reign. Maybe not that. Putin's been on it a long time. So it's not long. It's not bad in terms of long. Putin's been corrupt for a long ass time. But just for one brief moment in time, this is the most sickest shit I think Earth has ever seen. Right? In terms of presidents. Like, this is bad. You know what I'm saying? I mean, now in our lifetime, of course, before we were born, there was Mussolini and, Hitler and all that. But I'm talking about in my lifetime, because I wasn't alive when Hitler was walking around, or Mussolini. You see what I'm saying? But in my lifetime, this dude is crazy. This dude is crazy. And you have to understand, there is no one on earth from any country on earth that would even think that any government would have a person at this point like Trump. Like, there's no one else. There is no one else. You see, and you could see that these Trump trolls, boy, they out here hard right now. They like, leave my massa alone. Leave my massa alone. Daddy Trump. I have to defend him. The algorithm, yo, the robots are like fighting back and shit. They don't want the Matrix to die. But listen, Trump is a manifestation of the Matrix. Elon Musk, he controls the Matrix. I mean, it's the same thing. He is fucking with people's brains. And that can be the only reason why this guy, enough people haven't risen up against him yet. But the aspect of him, you see the brain thing with the Twitter and the disinformation, it has a lot of people's minds. It takes up a lot of space. But the money under the table has to be sick right now, because these congressional members, these senators, these, the people who have the other co-equal branches, the Supreme Court, they have failed to shut this motherfucker down. Not just him, because he's just a symbol of the rest of them, which are criminals, involved in criminality. Of course, they might have some legal loopholes that they're going to take everybody through to say that, this is just legal what we're doing. No. Remember, their word is only as good as one citizen. Yeah. Elon Musk, what's his name? Howard Lutnick, any of those people, when it comes to democracy, they only got one vote. You see what I'm saying? They only have one vote. And, it's once you have that vote, that's it. How much money you have, all that other shit, it doesn't matter, because an opinion is the most powerful weapon in the United States of America when it comes to voting. You see what I mean? So your idea, and also your ideas, your freedom, your speech, your free speech, is only represents you. You see what I mean? Individually, when you're dealing with a democracy, because in a democracy, people have to vote on shit. You see what I mean? Your opinion doesn't just ride; it has to be voted on. You see what I mean? For it to work, to be put in action, So I think Americans really need to think about this right now, because there can be no mistake about it. You have no president. You have no president right now. And really, you ain't going to have one after Trump. There's nobody in his party that can even serve as a president, as a functioning president. Like, they all fucking lunatics and all corrupt, basically. You see what I'm saying? Like, so people just have to get over it and just realize that, nothing's happening presidential right now. Nothing's happening legally right now, according to the Constitution. Nothing with your tax dollars is serving you really like how you deserve to have it serve you as a citizen. You see what I mean? The whole ship has been hijacked and it's functioning like it doesn't have a memory. You know what I mean? It's functioning like it doesn't know where it was last year and shit, like an old ass delusional. Somebody. What did they say? They say Trump has dementia. The whole goddamn country, the government got dementia. The U.S. government has a good case of dementia right now, and it's from the top to the bottom. It's not even something that is just Trump. No, it's all these. The whole body, the whole government has dementia. It doesn't know what to do legally. It has no back record to go on. What would I normally do? It doesn't have none of that. It just forgot. What would you normally do? How would you normally handle this case? I mean, you got Don Lemon out there getting charged for the Ku Klux Klan Act. What the fuck? What the fuck? How can a government DA have the nerve to try to charge Don Lemon of the Ku Klux Klan Act? And better yet, the person is a naturalized American. The person don't even come from the U.S., wasn't even born in the U.S., and they work for the government, and they trying to sue. They trying to charge him with the Ku Klux Klan Act. Dementia. That shit has spread all around in all parts of the U.S. government. What the fuck? The U.S. government is showing its bare ass to the earth, to every living creature on it. every goddamn creature. I mean, even the rats are like, don't want shit to do with goddamn U.S. motherfucker. God, this is bad. This is bad. And I'm not saying this to make people laugh, because this is fucked up. But you have to laugh at it because this is bad. This is like a Martin episode. You may as well go to, is this Living Color? You know what I'm saying? This is some grotesque type of comedy here that people have to watch. But if you have to live in it, I understand. I don't live inside of it. I live outside of the U.S. as an American citizen. But if you have to live in it, I understand, like, damn, maybe it's not so funny. But listen, the main point of today is to let you know there's nobody else that's going for this shit. So the only people left on earth right now that are going through this Donald Trump moment are people inside of the United States, because everybody else is drawing the line. Shoot first. Shoot first. Let this crazy motherfucker talk whatever he wants to do. Yeah, okay, well then just bring it. I think that's where the world is at right now with Trump. They're at the just bring it moment. And can I get this in there? Yeah, and people need to be aware of that. Don't keep Trump alive. Please, y'all. Don't keep Trump alive. End Trump. Finish him. Get him out of here. He doesn't deserve to be here with the rest of us. And but in any case, let me start off with the just something very serious and really sad and pathetic. But this is America right here. So let's see what we got here. This is at the Jack Smith testimony today. For those that don't know, there was an ugly display. There was basically a Nazi in there who threatened to rape Michael Fannon's, one of the police officer, one of the Jan 6 police, rape his daughter. Like these people are so vile. They let the person that attacked a police officer up inside of the hearing who threatened his daughter to rape her. They let this type of person up in the hearing. This is where it's at, and the world needs to see it. This is what the Supreme Court thinks is fine. They okayed Trump to run for president. This is what the Republican Party in the Senate thinks is fine. They okayed Trump. They okayed this type of behavior every day. This is what basically the Republicans or the majority of Congress feel right now, that this is the best representation that they're capable of giving of the United States. All that shit with Harriet Tubman on a dollar bill, nah, we can't do that. But we can do this though. We can beat up cops on Jan 6 all day long. I'm totally surprised. Can you hear this? It's a fight about to break out. Can you hear it? Can y'all hear what he's saying? Can you hear what they saying in the background? Let me just play it, and I'm gonna stop it and play it for y'all. If you can't hear it, let me see. He said you are. He said you are a traitor to this country. Hold on. See, he actually calls Michael Fannon over to him. And he said, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" And then he said, "Go fuck yourself." That's what Michael Fannon said to the guy. And then the guy said, "Why do you have to swear to me? Swear at me or swear to me?" And then Michael Fannon is saying, "Yo, dude, don't pretend like you don't know. Don't pretend like you don't know something. Go fuck yourself." That's what Michael Fannon said. And then the guy's gaslighting him now. He's like, "Why do you have to lose your cool like that?" Of course, that rapists always say that. You know what I'm saying? Why do you have to lose your cool like that? It's your fault. You don't like me raping you. Look, this guy is antagonizing him. He's like, every single fucking time I communicate to you, and look at him. He's pointing his finger at him. I am always professional with you. And then he's like, "I've always been professional to you." Talk about the gaslighting. But I'll just beat you. But if it come down to beating you upside the head again, and any one of your colleagues that ever dare try to stop us from walking up in here in this Capitol and getting what we want, You know? Did you hear that?
Why do you have to lose your cool like that? I've been always professional. Every single time I communicate with you, I am always.
Oh, this guy, yeah. Michael is not. He said, "I'm not losing my cool with you. You're a traitor to this country. Go fuck yourself." And the guys are like, "I've always been professional with you." You know, that's some serious gaslighting and shit. I'm gonna be professional when I shoot your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was professional. January 6th was Jan 6 was professional. That was professional. Tourette syndrome?
Well, I'm not. Requires other people to contain their Tourette syndrome.
Oh, he said something about the guy who's antagonizing Michael Fanon is saying something like, this job requires people contain their Tourette syndrome. So he's insulting them.
Okay.
And now this guy, now Michael Fanon is fed up with that, right? So he walks over to him. He said, "You threatened my something and you threatened my life." And he said, "You're a traitor to this fucking country." He's saying that. Michael Fanon is saying that to the Jan 6er.
Absolutely. Look behind you. Why should I? I'm communicating with you. Right? Look at your face and trust me, I'm using a lot of how many people are constraining you? Look at me. Total control over my mind and body.
Hey, the meeting will be in order.
Mr. Chairman, will you?
No shame.
Sir, meeting will be in order.
Treating these people that way.
This guy is threatening my family,
Members of the
threatening my
audience.
children.
Yeah, he's saying, Michael Fanon said, this guy has threatened my family, threatened my children.
Members of the audience will please sit down or remove themselves from the committee
He said the guy threatened to rape his children.
room.
Rape my children, you sick bastard. Rape my children.
But yeah, so yeah, and that's just, one part. That had to happen today. And this is part of the arrogance of these people. Like, they literally think that they can commit crimes and then they want you to treat them normal when they get away with crimes. They demand that you treat them normally, like they're not the criminals they are. That's how they were, and he's mad that he's not treating them like a normal person, and it's insulting, but it's gaslighting, and it's like playing some game. Listen, I feel sorry for people that put up with people like this, like, really, because this is the problem with the United States of America. Like, people that commit wrongdoing and stand on it, and stand on it because of fascist reasons. Like this guy, in his mind, he believes he's a real American. He believes he's the only, he feels like someone else is lesser than him because he's a liberal or his political affiliation, And in this case, the political affiliation, he would be saying he's a liberal because he's defending the Capitol. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is the arrogance of it. This guy, you can attack the Capitol Police if you stand for Trump. Right. Under any other case on earth in the United States of America, that would be called an insurrection. That would be called police brutality. That would be called, all bad things. In this case, there's been special treatment given to the people that attacked the Capitol. And that special treatment is being extended from the congressional members, from the Senate, from the Supreme Court, allowing them, maybe not the Supreme Court so much on this one because they did get convicted. They didn't get it overturned, blah, blah, blah. So it was told, that tells you a lot about Jack Smith's testimony today. These convictions weren't overturned by the Supreme Court or, by judiciary. They were overturned by Trump's, not overturned, but they were forgiven by Trump's pardon. You see what I mean? But in any case, let's continue. People saw that. This is disgusting, but hold on, let me hear. I think that some congressional members say something here also.
Sit down, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Officer Fanone.
Yo, look at this. I'm just seeing somebody's comment in the chat. Did you notice when I asked, man, you better get over yourself. You think I even read the chat? You think I've been reading the chat while I've been sitting up here talking? Man, get off of it. What is this? Did you notice when I asked if he knew what the KKK Act was? He changed the subject. If you're referring to me, are you referring to me? I'm just seeing your comments now, to be honest with you. Yeah. But in any case, yes, I do know what the KKK Act is because we read it yesterday on the show. If you're talking to me, we read it out loud. So there's no excuse to not know it. You see what I mean? So in any case, I don't get it. What is the issue, man? Some of this stuff is crazy. But in any case, the chat is open right now. So understand, in the beginning of the show, I typically have, I have a lot of trolls. As soon as the show opens up, they show up, trolls, bots, right? They will be here. And then I'm going to put the chat in subscriber mode because the trolls, some of the AI trolls and these bots, they can't click the subscribe button. You see what I mean? So don't worry about those kind of things. But I just noticed that comment. So if that's a troll, okay, maybe it is because, yeah, they weren't here yesterday to hear us go over that topic. But in any case, let's go on. Hold on, let me see one. Okay, let's hear some more here.
Mr. Chairman, please control the deranged observer, Mr. Rakeland, so he doesn't create any other problems with us today.
Imagine what he did on January 6th with that demeanor. Look at my demeanor.
Are you okay? What's up?
Complete perfection.
Let me know if the audio is good, by the way, y'all.
I stuck my hand out to say hello to Mr. Fanone, and then he just completely flipped the switch. His Tourette's kind of kicked in. You got to remember, when you read his book, he's a drug user. He's an alcoholic. He spends quite a bit of time drinking alcohol.
You see the guy is trying to he's trying to explain that that he's trying to tell this guy that Michael Fannon is this and that, drug user and all of this stuff. You know, but you can I'm sorry, but this interaction between them, there's a lot of these people that make excuses for their behavior. Like, it doesn't matter anything about Michael Fannon. It doesn't matter. What matters is that this guy had the nerve to think he could storm and attack police in the Capitol. And in any part of the United States of America, we all know, first of all, that if that was a black man, they would have shot our asses. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but true. If there was a mob of black people, we would be shot. If there was a mob of Muslims in the United States of America rushing that place, we'd likely be shot. You know, if there was a mob of anybody else, you know, lefties even, you know, but for some reason, these people literally, they got orders to not shoot. Like, somehow, let me see something. Let me just look that up. I believe that was the case. Did Capitol Police get orders to not shoot? I think I think the Capitol, the captain or something, or not the captain, the commander was criticized over that. Listen, here's some facts for you. The order against less lethal weapons. On January 6, 2021, Capitol Police officers were indeed ordered by their leadership not to use certain less lethal crowd control tools. The tools, this included sting grenades, 40 millimeter launchers, and certain types of chemical irritants. They were ordered not to use that. The reason, according to 2021 Inspector General report, leadership was concerned that using these weapons against the crowd could be dangerous or lead to unintended escalations. This left many officers in the front lines feeling they had been sent into a war with one hand tied behind their backs. Lethal force policy. There was no formal order that prohibited from using firearms if they felt their lives are okay. So this is interesting because they weren't told to not shoot, but they were told to use less lethal force. The order, less lethal weapons. January 6, 2021, Capitol police officers were indeed ordered by their leadership not to use certain less lethal crowd control tools. The tools included sting grenades, right, and certain types of chemical irritants. The reason, according to 2021 Inspector General report, this is after Jan 6, leadership was concerned that using these weapons against the crowd would be dangerous or lead to unintended escalation. So that's almost telling them to not escalate, right? And that's a very strange order to get, and, maybe, of course, I'm guessing when I said a group of black men would have been shot, a group of Muslims would have been shot. I mean, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing. But it's interesting here that an order did go out, and I just think that's really, really weird because it almost sounds like they're telling them to not use lethal force. Like they took all the medium tools out and left the final one, the shot, the gun, and that's it. So I don't know about that order. That sounds really weird. But in any case, let me play some more.
His face was twitching completely out of control. Additionally, if you refer back to his book, he mentioned several.
Oh, you agree with that guess a bit? Yeah, exactly. I agree with it too. That shit was crazy. I mean, it's what I've assumed. People could go out and try to prove me wrong. Go out there, go try to do it. See what happens.
Trump, they were willing to do.
All right, now this is some clips from the hearing right here. So let's
just
see
about anything. January 7th, 2023, Kevin McCarthy becomes speaker.
This doesn't last long. They actually, it seemed like the Republicans, they were attacking Jack Smith, but it seemed like they didn't want him to talk too much. And if I'm correct, they went into recess very shortly after they started. Less than 1 hour. Under 1 hour they went into recess. I found that really, really strange. Like, why so short and then go into recess? Like, I didn't get that. But I think what happened is that the beginning was the attack. And so they wanted to give some space for the attack to sink in everybody's mind and then start up again, go back into session where you hear some of the other comments. But in any case, let's go.
Speaker of the House. 16 days later, Jack Smith issues a subpoena for his phone records. Phone records from 2 years prior for a 2-month time.
They keep banging on this one point. They keep talking about this one point where it's like, the phone records were illegal. You shouldn't have done that. But he didn't do anything illegal. And it's not what they said. They didn't listen to phone calls. They looked at the data, like what time, who did he call? What time was it? How long did the call last? These kind of things, but they've been saying these lies for a minute, but let's listen.
Frame election day 2020 to January 7th, 2021. Jack Smith and the Biden Justice Department get the phone records of the top Republican in government, the guy second in line to the president. They know who he called, who called him, when the call took place, and how long it lasted. You can pattern an individual's life. They know who the speaker talked to before big votes, who he talked to after big votes, when he calls his colleagues, when he calls his family. And to add insult to injury, they go to the judge with the subpoena for a gag order on the carrier. AT&T, don't tell your...
It's an insurrection, and this congressman is arguing that the FBI doesn't find out who's involved, and he's like saying that, it's like saying a congressman or a senator couldn't have committed a crime. It doesn't make any sense.
Customer, the Speaker of the House, that you just gave his phone calls to Jack Smith and Joe Biden. And here's the kicker. They say to the court.
Yeah, Noodle, I saw that. Absolutely. It's the strangest thing, and it's so petty because, first of all, look at the evidence. The evidence, again, everything that this is the funny thing about liberals. Everything liberals challenge everything liberals discuss or bring to the forefront are things that are very obvious and factual because it's always on tape. It's always recorded. There's always a video, but yet these people literally are trying to explain that you didn't see what your lying eyes saw. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the hell? It's crazy. Okay, no worries. I'll hold it down, Bits. Appreciate it.
We need this gag order because he's a flight risk. Someone might tamper.
So their job is to say, because this guy prosecuted that mob of people that went in trying to kill people, to kill Mike Pence and kill Nancy Pelosi, they're worried about the guy who prosecuted them. It makes no sense. They're literally attacking the prosecutor. The same prosecutor that prosecuted Trump or tried to for taking thousands of top secret files out of the government and bringing them to his private residence. I mean, private residence where it's also a it's also a leisure club where thousands of people visit every year, and so it's like, it's not really private. It's his private residence, but it's Mar-a-Lago at the same time. So any visitor could be in his private residence getting access. It's hard to track who's really there. You see what I mean? I mean, come on, man. You think people stupid? Look, a lot of the drug dealers, criminals, sex traffickers, all this shit, they do their business in broad daylight in places where there's a lot of people. That's what they do. So it's hard to, a lot of noise, a lot of people, a little, hard to follow. You know what I'm saying? So in these same type of situations. So it's crazy that they would do this. But again, this is up to the voters. If this is the life you want, keep in mind, this is the life that the voters have. These people are not arguing universal health care. They're not arguing universal education for all American citizens in the most wealthiest country on earth. That's not what they're arguing about. They're arguing about a prosecutor. Like, how weird is that? I thought you wanted this guy prosecuted terrorists. You know what I mean? And yet look at them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what is this? What is this? They don't want to be prosecuted. That's what it sounds like to me. This is like a lot of projection. Why would this guy invest so much time himself into trying to prosecute publicly a prosecutor? It tells you right there, this dude is afraid. They're afraid of corruption, because if you didn't do anything wrong, why would you object?
Or with witnesses or with evidence. Are you kidding me? The Speaker of the House is going to run? They got my phone records for 2.5 years. Even the Democrats said this was wrong. But of course,
I wouldn't believe him, because they make a lot of public statements that are lies. Like, they're doing this to ignorant people that don't actually research it and find out what the record really shows. You see what I mean? So don't think that what's going on here is that every lie that is told gets called out on camera. No. Every lie doesn't get rebuffed. This is kind of like, he's just allowed to say whatever he wants to say. And then the other person, if they want to use their time to disprove everything that he talked about, they can do that, but they only have a certain amount of time. So if you came there to say certain things yourself, to present your own arguments, you're not going to waste all your time rebuffing his lies, and refuting his lies, even if they are lies. So people need to pay attention here.
We shouldn't be
You saw the invasion of the Capitol. You saw what these people attacking the Capitol did to those police officers. You saw it. They assaulted them violently. They kicked their doors in. One of them had to be shot before they would be stopped. Like, seriously. And they're trying to excuse this. So you have all the evidence you need. This guy is just like, this is a buffoon, really. I mean, this is showing you that ethics don't matter. Morals don't matter. What matters is something else. The guy is willing to lie for money. Basically, it's for money.
Prized. Democrats have been going after President Trump for 10 years.
Every citizen pays his salary, whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, everybody pays his salary, and this guy's going to stand in front of people and just lie and pretend and make believe. Like, this is a total, utter waste of money. It's a total, utter waste of time. It is a sham to the United States of government, like the level of just dumb, stupid, petty games that are not in the interest of the public, how much time these people are proud to use. And you pay for their dental care, you pay for their kids' private schools, you pay for it all, and these people don't even want you to have that. You see what I mean? This is a sham. It's a sham, man.
Years, for a decade. And the country should never, ever forget what...
Yeah, they ain't never releasing these goddamn files, yo. Who said that? Starfire. They ain't releasing these damn files. You know that. We know this now. There was hope at one point. There was hope. You know, like, yeah, but they literally said, hey, we know it's a law. And we know the president signed that law. But guess what? We gonna break that law in public. And this is the same thing with Jan 6. They're doing it all in public. Look, at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. Like, why? And that's what I was saying. It's because of money. Elon Musk, the richest man on earth, he must be paying a lot of people a lot of money in a lot of different places, and likely more places than you think. And there might be another element. There might be, outside of Elon Musk, there might be another entity issuing death threats, you know, something, because this is cap. How can you have a president that goes on the global stage at this point and makes a complete, utter fucking ass of himself in front of the entire world? Listen, not even a third world country would accept a president like this. Not a third, not a second, and let alone a first. So how the hell is this happening in the U.S.? It's obviously because that corruption that you see above the sea level, right? You know, this the tip of the iceberg. Everything underneath that water level is the rest of it, and it's huge. You know, something bad is going on there because this shit makes no sense.
What they did. Over the next few hours, we're going to hear a lot of yelling and screaming, I assume, from the other side. But we should never forget what took place, what they did to the guy, we the people, elected president twice. It all started in 2016 when they spied on his campaign. The Clinton campaign hired the law firm Perkins Coie, who hired the public relations firm Fusion GPS, who hired a foreigner, Christopher Steele, to put together the fake dossier.
You hear this?
Bunch of garbage in that document, but that was used.
Yeah, so he's still yammering. He's still yammering about lies, essentially. And they used all that time to do these lies. I mean, it's crazy.
Sticking with California, the gentlelady from California.
Police Department.
Sticking with California, the gentlelady from California is now recognized.
Mr. Smith, thank you for being here today. Earlier the chairman spent a lot of time talking about Cassidy Hutchinson, who we know was just one of many witnesses. It's important to note that there was testimony that she was told something by Mr. Ornato, not that she had personal knowledge. And of course, Mr. Ornato was of very questionable veracity. We had a testimony from a Metropolitan Police Department official about an argument, a big argument that the president was having about going to the Capitol. And in fact, the vehicle was delayed going back to the Capitol while that argument occurred. But having said that, I want to focus on something my colleagues across the aisle seem to want to ignore. The fact that your investigation into President Trump's attempt to overturn the 2020 election was built on testimony from members of the Republican Party. In fact, last week, the New York Times published grand jury transcripts from Georgia that show the same pattern in Trump's Georgia criminal case. Georgia's Republican Attorney General Chris Carr testified that he told, quote, and this is a quote, "We're just not seeing the things that you are seeing." And the late Georgia House Speaker David Ralston, also a Republican, testified that Trump's fake elector scheme was, quote, "the craziest thing I've heard." And then there's Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the president's closest allies. In his secret grand jury testimony, Senator Graham told the jurors, quote, "I have told him more times than we can count that he fell short," unquote. And then he said this, quote, "If you told him Martians came and stole votes, he'd be inclined to believe it." Martians. That's from Senator Graham speaking under oath. So here's my question. Mr. Smith, in your deposition with this committee, you testified, and here's a quote, "Our case was built on, frankly, Republicans who put their allegiance to the country before the party." Also, that the president's closest allies are telling him that his claims of election fraud are wrong. And so I'm just wondering, can you explain what you meant in your deposition, that it was Republicans who were putting their allegiance to their country ahead of their party?
Yes. There were witnesses who I felt would be very strong witnesses, including, for example, the Secretary of State in Georgia, who told Donald Trump the truth, told him things that he did not want to hear, and put him on notice that what he was saying was false. These were people who knew how the elections were conducted in these states, and I believe that witnesses of that nature, witnesses who are willing to tell the truth, even if it's going to impose a cost on them in their lives, my experience as a prosecutor over 30 years is that witnesses like that are very credible, and that jurors tend to believe witnesses like that because they pay a cost for telling the truth.
In terms of the grand jury testimony that's now been released, the fact that Donald Trump, according to Senator Graham, would believe that Martians stole the election, what does that tell you about Trump's state of mind?
That statement is consistent with what we found in our investigation, in that our investigation revealed that Donald Trump was not looking for...
Do me a favor. If you're in the chat right now, let me know what state you live in and who's your healthcare provider. All right, just just so we can have something to qualify individual statements. So yeah, so if you're not a member or a subscriber, especially because I know that some of you all aren't even subscribers, so it's likely you're trolls. But to prove that you're not trolls, right, and that you're an actual real American, or qualify who you are, right? Let me know what state you live in or country and who your healthcare provider is. Thank you.
Honest answers about whether there was fraud in the election. He was looking for ways to stay in power. And when people told him things that conflicted with him staying in power, he rejected them.
Okay, but
or he chose not even to contact people like that who would know if the election was done properly in the state. On the other hand, when individuals...
Yeah. See, it's good to know. I appreciate that, Martin, because Americans need to know, look, there's a lot of people that live outside of the U.S. that might have an opinion about what's going on inside of the U.S. And that's great. I have no issue with that. However, when I read some of the comments, it's good to know, because if you're outside of the U.S. and, for example, not you, Martin, but example, if you're outside of the U.S. and you support Trump, but you have health care, and an average American, many Americans that support Trump don't, Americans need to know that. The people that support Trump need to know that outside of the U.S., actually more health care is being provided to more people than inside the USA by percentage of population, right? PP, right? So it's important to know.
Would say things that...
Somebody wrote Georgia. Okay, who's the healthcare provider? David, who's the healthcare provider? None your business. Who's your healthcare provider? Let me see here. Trump, did you have a... Mercenary, who's your healthcare provider? What state you live in? Yeah. Sweet Southern Clean, who's your healthcare provider? What state do you live in? Yeah. Who's your healthcare provider? Also, Nunya. I mean, I understand the pun, but for real, because we got to know who's trolling and who's not. So I may as well take this second, right, to see, because if you're not trolling, then you know something about the state you live in, right? Veterans Affairs don't count. Sorry, that don't count. Sorry, sorry, doesn't get it. You know, I could ask you another question, but don't worry. I'm smart enough to know now. A lot of people say that so they don't have to say what state and they don't have to say who their real health provider is, you know. So don't worry about that. That means you trolling pretty much. All right. So we'll figure it out later. There you go. See, sweet Southern clean. Why? Because it's got, see, there you have it. There you have it. Another person that doesn't have a state and a health care. You see what I'm getting at, y'all? And the chat is on replay for people that come into the stream later, just so you can learn how this works. You know what I mean? But in any case, don't worry, trolls. Y'all good. Keep it going.
Would allow him to stay in power no matter
You're welcome for now. No worries.
how fantastical he would latch on to.
By the way, I live in Denmark and I have universal health care. So just so you know.
Those. That pattern
UK covers a lot more people than the US also, for people to know by percentage.
over time, we felt was powerful evidence that he, in fact, knew that the fraud claims he was making were false.
You know, who were some of the Republican witnesses who told you that who told President Trump that his claims of election fraud were false? Can you share that with us?
Mercenary, I doubt you're an American because you don't write even American style. Like, I don't want gov healthcare, don't want gov that much in my life. Man, you missing something's going on there, bro. Listen, don't worry now, because we know that there's a lot of trolls there and people that are lying. So this is a lesson for others that view the chat and see it. You know what I mean? You can kind of see how invested the right wing is in, or maybe not the right wing, maybe foreign countries, how invested they are in real political commentary right now. You know, this is how they got Trump elected. This is what they're going to continue to do, you know, until Americans wise up and learn how to see the signs for the trolls. You know, what you have here in me is you can trust my words. And the reason why that is because you can see me. You know who I am. So, you know, you don't have to worry about me disappearing. You see what I'm saying? Or you not knowing nothing about me, you know, because I actually show who I am. But so if a troll goes to tell you some shit like Hillary Clinton was drinking baby blood on Epstein Island, you might want to ask, does this person have a picture of themselves? What else? What other qualifying information is there about them? Like, or is this just some person that's lying and pretending like there's someone that they're not, living in another country? I'm serious now. Troll farms exist. Now they got AI troll farms. It's crazy.
There were a range of witnesses. Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Raskin, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss my work as special counsel. I love my country and believe deeply in the core principles upon which it was founded. For nearly 3 decades, I've served as a career prosecutor in both Republican and Democratic administrations. I've handled cases ranging from domestic assault and gang violence to public corruption and election crimes across the United States, and I've prosecuted war crimes overseas. I am not a politician, and I have no partisan loyalties. My career has been dedicated to serving our country by upholding the rule of law. Throughout my public service, my approach has always been the same: follow the facts and the law without fear or favor. Experienced prosecutors know that specific case outcomes are beyond our control. Our responsibility is to do the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons. These principles have guided me through my career, including as special counsel. I'm proud of the work my team did, and I appreciate the opportunity to appear here today to correct false and misleading narratives about our work. During my tenure as special counsel, we followed Justice Department policies, we observed legal requirements, and took actions based on the facts and the law. I made my decisions without regard to President Trump's political association, activities, beliefs, or candidacy in the 2024 election. President Trump was charged because the evidence established that he willfully broke the law, the very laws he took an oath to uphold. Grand juries in 2 separate districts reached this conclusion based on his actions, as alleged in the indictments they returned. Rather than accept his defeat in the 2020 election, President Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the results and prevent the lawful transfer of power. After leaving office in January of 21, President Trump illegally kept classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago social club and repeatedly tried to obstruct justice to conceal his continued retention of those documents. Highly sensitive national security information was held in a ballroom and a bathroom. As I testify before the committee today, I want to be clear. I stand by my decisions as special counsel, including the decision to bring charges against President Trump. Our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in criminal activity. If asked whether to prosecute a former president based on the same facts today, I would do so regardless of whether that president was a Democrat or a Republican.
As you went in,
Yeah. So, I would never understand why people, now, don't get me wrong. I can understand why criminals would support Trump. I can understand why, criminals would support different congressional members. You know what I mean? I can understand that because, their job is different. It's supposed to be different from an everyday citizen. An everyday citizen is supposed to want government to work for them because you pay taxes. That's the entire concept. These people are civil servants. They work for you. Right? Now, to openly accept that someone else is above the law, I think it's something everybody needs. If you believe that someone should be above the law, I think you should really go back and think about that again. And what I see from a lot of Trump supporters is that's basically what they believe. At this point, the ones that stuck with Trump, at this point, they basically believe someone should be above the law because it is abundantly clear that this man has gotten away with more crimes than anyone listening to me, will ever get away with in their fucking life. Like, you will not be treated this way. You will not have a chance at being treated this way. Trump would never even meet you. He doesn't want to have anything to do with you, and he would never even pardon you. If you are listening to me right now, he doesn't care about you. Like nothing at all. So I can understand why a criminal would support him because, I'm not talking about a cheap ass criminal either. I'm talking about, a lot of money, billionaires, right? Because they're getting something out of Trump. But I would never understand why a person who's not a billionaire, who's just a millionaire or less, would actually go along with this, because it means that you fundamentally believe that someone should be above the law. Someone else should be above the law, and it's not you even. That's crazy. That's insane. But this is how MAGA people are now. They won't tell you that they believe someone should be above the law, but they know goddamn well that they've given Trump a pass on the law. That's what you're seeing right now in the United States. As far as the law is concerned, Trump administration doesn't have to follow the law. They're not following the law that even Trump signed to release the Epstein files. It's abundantly clear. So when you listen to Jack Smith talk about this, does it surprise you? Is it a surprise that he didn't release the Epstein files after it became law? Is that a surprise? Because this thing is not even going to be prosecuted. The thing about taking the top secret files, none of that's going to be prosecuted. Who looked at those files? Who looked at the nuclear secrets? Who did any of that? What is that all about? None of that's going to be dealt with. The only thing that really is going to happen with Trump is the financial part. His estate. That's what he's worried about. Because his estate robbed a lot of money and kept money from the taxpayers of New York City, through scamming, scheming, and fraud through their businesses, through their real estate, right? The apartments and condos and all of that shit they sell, right? But none of you listening to me will ever get away with any of that shit that Trump is getting away with. Like, so to cap for a person like that, I would never understand it. it's irrational. It's like saying, hey, fuck it, I want to be a slave. I volunteer myself. It's like saying that, you know. But there will be people that go along with that. Now, in any case, there's news about what went on in Minnesota. Things in Minnesota have gotten, you know, have how can you say, they've moved on to a new height now, and there's been some information given back about the woman Renee Good, who now the FBI has released some information, and it's where the gunshot wounds were, and I think some other things. So I'm gonna just try to hear real quick what Glenn said about this, and then go on to some other news. There's been some public statements made by police, local police, and government, and things like this. So let's review
efforts
it real
of
quick.
the city police
then I'm going
to contend with the crisis.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I'm going to go over to the international news with Trump and see how he made an ass out of himself. And more of the responses are coming in, and it's daily, and it ain't good. It's not good. But in any case, this is for people that don't know, this is Glenn Kirshner, and he was a prosecutor for many years for the federal government. So take a listen to his reporting on this on these findings here.
Indispensable need, a non-negotiable need for a full, fair, and thorough investigation of an officer-involved shooting resulting in death. Because justice matters.
Here we go. Come on, Glenn.
Now that reporting is revealing for the first time a number of things about the
This is going to be a long stream, about 3 hours. So just letting people know, I'm just really getting started. Maybe 3.5 hours. Who knows?
Incident that day, including
click the like button, subscribe button. Also, if you don't mind, it helps more people come into the stream. Of course, the bots ain't going to do this, but the trolls ain't going to do it. But the rest of you all, please help me out. I appreciate it.
The nature of the injuries suffered by Renee Good at the hands of Jonathan Ross, one thing is crystal clear. There has to be a full, fair, thorough, and professional investigation of this officer-involved shooting resulting in death. Here are some of the new revelations by the New York Times. Headline: Emergency call transcripts record a crisis unfolding in real time. The killing of Renee Good by an ICE agent was instantly reported to the Minneapolis police. The calls reflect shock, fury, and confusion. And that article begins: Renee Good was shot last week amid a thicket of cell phones that recorded her killing and afforded instant communication for witnesses. Records of police and emergency operators released late Thursday contain fragmentary, confused, and profane reports from the scene in South Minneapolis and the efforts of the city police to contend with a crisis not of their making. The documents, about 60 pages of 911 call transcripts and police and fire department incident reports, sketch the visceral shock of bystanders, reduced to dry transcripts and terse entries in the shorthand of the police scanner. The calls to 911 began at 9:38 a.m. on January 7, shortly after an Immigration and Customs and Enforcement officer fired a gun into Ms. Good's maroon Honda Pilot as observers and protesters confronted federal agents. The frantic calls persisted for about an hour. Quote, "There's 15 ICE agents and they shot her, because she wouldn't open her door," one caller said. Quote, "I witnessed it," a separate caller told an operator. Asked if anyone was hit, she replied, after catching her breath, "Yes, bleeding." The caller later said she tried to drive away but crashed into the nearest vehicle that was parked. The caller said,
I'm just going to do one thing real quick. everybody who's not subscribed, right? And I have to do this for the people, that are actually subscribed, my subscribers. I got to clear up the chat. So if you're a troll, if you're a bot, in a couple of seconds, the chat is going to be on subscribe. So that's how we can kind of keep it honest, right? And and make it a little more. I can see, to be honest, I want my participants to kind of be a little serious. Now, some of y'all are serious. I see that. If you're serious, don't take any offense to my words. I'm not talking about y'all. But, for whoever is not really that serious, you might not want to waste people's time, right? So in any case, and the trolls tend to do that sometimes. So on the count of 3, I'm going to put the chat in subscriber mode, and then it's going to take you 5 minutes to get in the chat again if you're not subscribed. So you might want to subscribe right now before the count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The subscribe button is just below the screen right there. Says subscribe. All right, I appreciate that. Now let's go back to this and see what's going on here.
She saw blood all over the driver. The dispatcher responded that lots of help was on the way. Another caller pleaded, "Send an ambulance." The dispatcher responded that ambulance, please. When paramedics arrived at 9:42 a.m., Miss Good was in the driver's seat, unresponsive, with blood on her face and torso, the records say. After they removed her from the vehicle, she was not breathing. And
now you could see that made some changes there, right? So you could see how these trolls and these be rolling and shit, and they want to create an alter universe of themselves and shit, of computers talking to each other, and what the fuck? This is crazy. Let me pull this back now. Let me pull this back. Here we go. You know what I'm saying? They try to create an alternative universe and shit.
Last week.
Hey, Americans, I'm doing this for you, brother. Thank a brother. Click like. You know what I'm saying? Share the video. I'm going to educate some people to this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Week amid a thicket of cell phones that recorded her killing and afforded instant communication.
We got to fight disinformation, with all our tools.
Communication for witnesses. Records of police and emergency operators released late Thursday contain fragmentary, confused, and profane reports from the scene in South Minneapolis and the efforts of the city police to contend with a crisis not of their making.
Now these are real goddamn. These AI trolls, man. I'm telling you, they have a lot right now going on. So people should be careful. Like, don't be a fool. First of all, if my real listeners, they read the newspaper anyway. So some of this stuff is not new to them. Some of the news, maybe they haven't heard all the news and they prefer to come to me and go through some of it, while listening to it. But they've heard the subtext of it, the main points. You know what I mean? So, but these trolls, though, they don't even try to even engage what you're talking about. They just start a whole nother conversation. That's what kind of leads me to to do this shit.
Documents about 60 pages of 911 call transcripts and police and fire department incident reports sketch the visceral shock of bystanders, reduced to dry transcripts and terse entries in the shorthand of the police scanner. The calls to 911 began at 9:38 a.m. on January 7, shortly after an Immigration and Customs and Enforcement officer fired a gun into Ms. Good's maroon Honda Pilot as observers and protesters confronted federal agents. The frantic calls persisted for about an hour. Quote, "There's 15 ICE agents and they shot her, because she wouldn't open her door," one caller said. Quote, "I witnessed it."
Oh, really? Oh, shit. What? Okay. So, yeah. So, okay. I'm sure y'all listening, but just for the people that maybe missed that part, now he's reading the emergency calls as they came in, right? So these are what the witnesses on the ground who were calling into the police saying, "Oh my God, someone just got shot." This is what they're reading off. So let me just roll that back a little.
The frantic calls persisted for about an hour. Quote, "There's 15 ICE agents, and they shot her, like, because she wouldn't open her door," one caller said. Quote, "I witnessed it," a separate caller told an operator. Asked if anyone was hit, she replied, after catching her breath, "Yes, bleeding." The caller later said she tried to drive away but crashed into the nearest vehicle that was parked. The caller said she saw blood all over the driver. The dispatcher responded that lots of help was on the way. Another caller pleaded, "Send an ambulance, please, ambulance, please." When paramedics arrived at 9:42 a.m., Miss Good was in the driver's seat, unresponsive, with blood on her face and torso, the records say. After they removed her from the vehicle, she was not breathing and had an irregular pulse. And now, friends, the nature of Renee Good's injuries as documented by fire department.
What does that mean, though, irregular pulse? I guess it means there was a pulse, but it was irregular, so she was alive. You know, that's tragic. You know, even after being shot, 3-4 times? I think he said there was 4 shots. Listen, y'all, there's been this is another reason why I'm playing this, because there's been a lot of confusion about, was it 4 shots? Was it 3 shots? Listen, they found 4 gunshot wounds. 4 gunshot wounds. That means there was 4 shots. You see what I mean? So, yeah. So your lying eyes weren't lying to you. You know, a lot of people said there was 4 shots, and then all of a sudden in the media it changed to 3 with some people. But no, now this is reporting back about her body. You know, we don't know if this is all the evidence. Obviously, it's not all the evidence the feds have, because they already said they ain't helping nobody sue the officer. They're not helping the state prosecute the officer. So, but for some reason this is out, and I believe this has to be out because this is what's submitted to any, you know, it has to be submitted, this work to, it has to be public. So, you know, but
breathing and had an irregular pulse. And now, friends, the nature of Renee Good's injuries as documented by fire department members. She had 2 apparent gunshot wounds on the right side of her chest, another on the left forearm, and a possible 4th on the left side of her head. Blood was flowing from her left ear, and her pupils were dilated, the fire department's report said. In an ambulance en route to the hospital, medics performed CPR on Miss Good. About 10:30 a.m., resuscitation efforts were stopped. Jonathan Ross, who was identified as the ICE agent who shot Miss Good, was still on the scene, according to a report from the Minneapolis Police Department. About 15 minutes later, he was taken to a federal building. Okay, friends, there is a lot to unpack there, but for today, I want to focus on just one aspect of this new reporting: Renee Good's injuries and what they might tell us about the nature of this fatal shooting. So you may have heard me say before that I'm a homicide guy. Yes, I was a prosecutor for 30 years, but for 22 of those 30 years, I handled murder cases, investigated them in the grand jury, indicted them, tried them, and beyond that, I was chief of homicide for a number of years and deputy chief before that, responsible for overseeing all of the murder investigations in the grand jury and prosecutions in the courts of Washington, D.C. So I have been involved in more murder investigations and prosecutions than I could ever count. And an important part of every single homicide case, whether murder, manslaughter, is the autopsy performed on the victim, the autopsy report that is generated by the medical examiner, the forensic pathologist who performs the autopsy, and then ultimately the testimony at trial. Because we need to prove things like cause of death and manner of death. But that's just for openers. Those are the most basic elements of a medical examiner's, a forensic pathologist's testimony, the cause and manner of death. There is so much more to a medical examiner's testimony because the nature of the injuries suffered by the victim, the decedent, can tell the jury so much about the nature of the homicide. For example, whether what witnesses tell the jurors they saw is supported by or contradicted by the nature of the injuries. For example, the wound path or wound track through the body, the angle of it. Is it right to left? Is it front to back? Is it an upward trajectory, a downward trajectory through the body? That can support or corroborate what an eyewitness says he or she saw happen at the time of the fatal encounter, or it can contradict it. So there's a lot to be gained or lost by the testimony of a medical examiner, a forensic pathologist who performed the autopsy. But now I feel like I'm talking to my jury. Mind you, this is off-the-cuff stream of consciousness. If I were talking to my jury, it would have been a fully drafted argument, whether an opening statement or a closing argument. It would have been vetted to make sure it was consistent with all of the evidence and the testimony. It would have been practiced. I was pretty careful about that kind of stuff. This is off the cuff, so bear with me. So let's start with the most basic aspects of a medical examiner's testimony, and that is the cause and manner of death. The cause of death is, as the name suggests, what caused the death. Was it a gunshot wound? Was it sharp force trauma, which is what we call a stabbing? Was it asphyxiation by...
Glenn is tripping right here. I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, we know what the cause of death is. Come on, man.
By manual strangulation.
But it's coming. His breakdown is good. Is dope, man. I really like Glenn.
That is choking someone to death. That's the cause of death. The manner of death, there are only 5 recognized manners of death.
This is where, this is going to get specific here. So
when medical examiners rule. And medical examiners are allowed to offer their opinion. Expert witnesses generally are allowed to offer their opinion about, for example, the manner of death, whereas lay witnesses, eyewitnesses, are not permitted to offer opinions, just what they know, what they saw. But the 5 rulings are homicide, suicide, natural death, think disease, process, cancer, heart attack, accidental death, I'm up on my roof cleaning out my gutter and I tumble off the roof, break my neck and die, and undetermined death. We'll talk more about that in a second. Homicide, suicide, natural death, accidental death, or undetermined death. Now, the reason the opinion of a medical examiner is so important is because, the cause of death could be gunshot wound, right? Let's say, I don't mean to be indelicate or trigger anyone with graphic language, but if someone is shot in the head, that could be a homicide, that could be a suicide. So the injuries to the body don't tell the medical examiner the whole story. Medical examiners take in all information.
Yeah, that's true. So if the FBI are still withholding information vital to a normal investigation, then that is they would be obstructing the state, essentially, but yeah, I hear why he's saying it,
From all sources, witnesses and police officers and reports, 911 calls, and on and on and on, to reach a conclusion to a reasonable degree of medical or scientific certainty. That's the magic language that supports a medical examiner's opinion and conclusion. But it is those external facts and circumstances that will inform a medical examiner as to whether a gunshot wound to the head is a homicide or a suicide, right? So, and an undetermined death, let me touch on that. Often, a medical examiner's ruling has to await collecting up of a lot of external evidence and information. For example, if it's a poisoning case, there may not be any external injuries or indications of the cause of death until the medical examiner takes tissue samples and samples of bodily fluid, samples of organs, and sends it out for toxicological testing to see what might be in the victim or the...
Okay. For people that don't know, that's just coming into the stream, he's about to explain some things about Renee Good's body because they've released some information on it. So he's just getting to that. But Glenn is so thorough, right? He does a good job at building up to the main point. But in any case,
antecedents system. And so they can rule a death undetermined until they get all of the evidence and information that will impact their ultimate decision on how to rule a particular death. Some homicides, when somebody dies, homicide does not connote criminality, by the way. The word homicide is simply death at the hands of another. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a criminal killing of another person. If you kill somebody in pure self-defense, it's a homicide, death at the hands of another, but it's not criminal. But some homicides remain undetermined, in perpetuity, because the medical examiner never gets enough external information to unravel exactly what caused the death. Okay? So to recap, homicide, suicide, natural death, accidental death, and undetermined.
So basically, he's saying that that's what's going on right now. They will make it difficult for the state to prosecute at all just by withholding a small amount of evidence, pretty much, or not a small amount, but the right kind of evidence.
Death. Those are the 5 rulings. So what did we learn from this reporting by the New York Times? No, this is not the results from the autopsy. This is a report from presumably EMS personnel, right? Fire department personnel who observed the nature of the injuries when they came upon Renee Good and documented them. So what we learned in the reporting was that Renee Good suffered 2 gunshot wounds, apparent gunshot wounds to the right side of her chest. And it's already probably jumping out at you as to, how that is a real curiosity. If she's sitting in the driver's seat, right? Driver's side door over here, passenger compartment over here, and she's struck twice in the right side of the chest. Put a pin in that. So you have 2 gunshot wounds to the right side of the chest, 1 to the left forearm. That seems to make some intuitive sense, right? We even saw in the video moments before she was shot, she had that left arm kind of half out the window, and she was waving another car by, saying, in essence, you go before me. Not trying to run over or ram police cars or officers. You go ahead before me. So she had 1 gunshot wound to her left forearm and then 1 gunshot wound to the left side of her head, which, again, makes some sense given that we saw multiple rounds being fired by Jonathan Ross into when there was no risk to him whatsoever, because he's now standing sort of right outside the driver's door, shooting into the passenger compartment. That you would expect would produce potentially a gunshot wound to the left forearm and to the left side of her head. But what about the 2 to the right side of her chest, right?
Actually, yeah, this is good because, these bullet holes alone are screaming murder. That's what it's screaming to me, murder. He shot her 4 times, once in the arm, 2 to the side of the body, and 1 to the head. And he's got to tell why he fired 4 times. Like, he's got to explain that in a normal court proceeding, the type of court proceeding that you and I would be given. We would have to explain each shot. But the one that he's probably going to get from the feds, if any, obviously they're not even going to charge him, right? He's going to have to be charged later, when there's a new government, when there's a new head of the FBI, when there's a new head of the DOJ. Just like the Epstein files going to have to be released when there's a new head of the DOJ, so they can and a new president, by the way, that wasn't in the Epstein files. That will help. That will help. And because or have a friend that was in the Epstein files. I mean, that would also help a lot, getting those Epstein files out. So it's going to be very telling, because as long as those Epstein files aren't released, it's pretty much telling you that there's way too many people that's in those files that are currently in government. That's what that means, to me. And Trump alludes to it anyway. But in any case, sorry, let's stick on Renee Good for the moment.
And we can easily envision how she suffered, the one to the left side of her head and the one to the left forearm, but there were two to the right side of her chest. Now, does that mean that two other shots came in from another gunman from the passenger side of
two in the right side of her chest,
the car, and struck her in the right side of the chest? Well,
that her left side, it was her left arm that was out the window. Her left side was the one exposed to the window where the guy shot her in the head, right? Well, according to what we see on video, right? Now, or according to what's been assumed, obviously from the videos. But now they're saying there's two gunshots from the right side.
There's no video evidence suggesting that. There's been no indication that there was a second ICE officer unloading on Renee Good.
Did they walk down there and shoot her ass in the car? Like, is that what this is saying?
But let me try to talk through, based on my experience in dealing with murder cases and autopsy reports and medical examiners, some of what might account for these findings. First of all, just because there are four...
Rainbow Kitty, calm. Yo, they just said, I don't know if you heard this. I don't know if you heard what he just said, but there's two shots they found on the body. There's a shot in the head. She got hit 4 times. One in the left arm, because maybe her arm was out the window. The other one in the left side of the head, right? And then, but 2 to her body, 2 to the right side of her body. And, okay, did you see anybody shoot from the right side? So what does that mean? Did any other witness say they saw somebody shoot from the right side? So what does that mean? And I'm just trying to figure out, like, does that mean somebody ran down there to the car and found her and shot her ass in the car? Like, while she, is that what happened? I mean, I don't know. Seems like there might be some witnesses, but who knows, man? Who knows? But that's very, very strange. That I just wanted to say that. But in any case, I'm gonna let Glenn continue his description.
But there were 2 to the right side of her chest. Now, does that mean that 2 other shots came in from another gunman from the passenger side?
And when did that happen? Did it happen then, or did it happen after she crashed?
The car and struck her in the right side of the chest? Well, there's no video evidence suggesting that. There's been no indication that there was a...
But there is a video of after the crash from the other direction. I'm going to have to go back and look at that to see if there's any police that go up to that car after she crashed from that side, from the right side of the car.
Second ICE officer unloading on Renee Good. But let me try to talk through, based on my experience in dealing with murder cases and autopsy reports and medical examiners, some of what might account for these findings. First of all, just because there are 4 gunshot wounds to a victim, a decedent, that doesn't mean 4 rounds were fired. Why do I say that? Often a gunshot wound suffered to an arm, a forearm, can be what we call a through and through. So you have an entrance wound, an exit wound, and then if Renee Good was trying to protect herself, I can't tell you how many times we would have murder cases where 1 shot was fired, but we would have 2 gunshot wounds. Why? Because victims would throw up their hands and they would have 1 gunshot wound to their hand, maybe their forearm. It would travel through their body, exit, and then enter their head. So you have 2 gunshot wounds, right? If you're holding your forearm up to try to protect your head in vain, you may have 2 gunshot wounds to a body, but only 1 round fired. So that might account, because I think what...
But how are you going to have 3 bullets? How are you going to have 3 holes in 1 bullet?
What we are learning from all of the different video
Or 4 holes in one bullet. I'm sorry.
angles and the reporting is it looks like there may have been 3 shots fired. One, when Ross was sort of at that front corner of the driver's side, front corner of the vehicle, and then 2, it appeared, when he was no longer in harm's way at all. Of course, he had put himself in harm's way, contrary to police policy and procedure. You don't step in front of a running vehicle, never mind a moving vehicle. If a vehicle's engine is on, you don't step in front of it. But then he fired 2 when there was no danger to him, directly into, it appears, the passenger
But how did he hit the other side of her body?
compartment of Renee Good's Honda. So how might she?
But he only knows this. See, what I like about Glenn is he started off saying he's only going on what's been released in the public from the ambulances. So he doesn't have the autopsy. That's what he's saying. So everybody, that's right. I need to remind everybody, he's not reading from the autopsy. He's reading from what was released to the public from interviews with the ambulance, the paramedics that arrived.
She have gotten 2 gunshot wounds to the right side of her chest. But then he fired 2 when there was no danger to him, directly into, it appears, the passenger compartment of Renee Good's Honda. So how might she have gotten 2 gunshot wounds to the right side of her chest? Well, here's what I will say, friends.
Yeah.
I have seen, unfortunately, too many videos of people being shot and killed in my years as a homicide prosecutor. There is a saturation of cameras in Washington, D.C., where I prosecuted, whether they were city crime cameras, they were commercial establishment, surveillance cameras, Ring doorbell cameras, lots and lots and lots of crimes are caught on video. Establishment and surveillance. I have reviewed more than I can ever remember, more than I choose to remember, videos of people being shot and killed. And the one thing I've come to learn is that the trajectory of a path wound through the body, for example, or where someone was struck on their body, if it's a shooting death, tells us something, but it doesn't tell us everything, and it may actually contradict what you see happening on video. Because bullets have what we call a dynamic effect on the human body, and they will cause victims to twist and turn and contort instantly in all sorts of unpredictable ways that will result in injuries, entrance wounds to parts of the body that would otherwise seem inexplicable, like somebody sitting in the driver's seat with a shooter outside the driver's door shooting into the passenger compartment, but they have entry wounds on the right side of their chest. That doesn't make intuitive sense until you realize after the first shot or as the shots are coming in, we don't know if Renee Good ended up bending down this way with her head toward the driver's door and shots coming in and hitting her in what would be the right side of her chest.
Glenn is an expert at this shit right here. Yeah, he is an expert. Just talking about the Renee what is this? Just talking about the Renee bad. Okay. I don't understand that sentence.
If she was sitting upright, they analyze everything in what they call the anatomical position from somebody who is standing upright, arms down at the side, legs straight. That's what you see in autopsy report diagrams all the time. So it tells us something, but it doesn't tell us everything. You know why it doesn't tell us everything, friends? Because we need a full, fair, professional, independent investigation of the officer-involved fatal shooting of Renee Good. It should be conducted by the federal government. It was a federal officer who exercised force resulting in death, and it sure looks to this old career prosecutor like excessive force resulting in death. So it should absolutely be investigated by the federal government. Not that I trust this FBI or this DOJ to conduct a full, fair, thorough, and professional investigation of a killing by a federal officer. But let me just read a quick paragraph to you, and I'm going to leave you with this. This is from a piece that I am in the process of authoring together with my friend Dave Arenberg.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. Folks can go check out Glenn's channel right here on YouTube, right? Glenn Kirshner. Okay, and he was a ex-prosecutor, federal government prosecutor, I believe. But I don't know if he retired. I guess he's retired, right? But yeah, maybe he still works in some sort of legal capacity. I'm not sure of that, but you can check him out on YouTube. He has some pretty thorough, not just reactions, but also information about different cases, legal cases out there. So I believe he's still not a prosecutor. He might be a private attorney or something like that, or investigator. So he's probably done all of the above, But in any case, that is what some new news about it, what's been released now. Yeah, so they have interviews from people that were on the scene, and also the paramedics now about Renee Good's body, and it raises questions to, it just raises more questions. She had one bullet wound to the left side of her head, another wound to her left arm, right? And 2 wounds to the right side of her body, which people are wondering now, like, okay, so she was shot how many times? Still, there's more evidence that needs to be shown, yeah, and of course the feds are withholding all of that evidence, and they don't want the state to have it, which is basically criminal in itself. I guess they're going to filibuster, they're going to just have a long drawn out process over it, rather than deny. They're going to say we're in the middle of our investigation, so we can't release it, exactly, this kind of thing. So it's so sad, and rest in peace to Renee Good. But listen, I don't think her death is going to go on. I think people are going to demand justice and get justice from this. I think that guy is going to jail, and it's just a matter of time. And listen, things can change very fast, in the U.S. And things are going to change. It's just a question of how fast. Now, some people think it's going to last 4 years. Okay, maybe it will. Some people think it's going to last 6 more months, and then impeachments and, heads going to start rolling. I mean, and yeah. So we will see. We will see how that goes. But rest in peace to Renee Good. And there's been several people killed by ICE now. There's a whole whopping, there's hundreds of people. There's people that's been killed by ICE, and then there's hundreds of people that have died in ICE custody, and it's, again, the United States still doesn't have comprehensive immigration reform. The president is not calling for comprehensive immigration reform. He doesn't want it. The Congress is not calling for it. They don't want it. It's not something they feel like they need to work on for the American people, although they get their check from the American people. A lot of the American people have no problem paying for these people's dentist visits, their kids' dentist visits, their kids' private school, their luxury lifestyle. A lot of American citizens don't have a problem paying for that. And this is what you're seeing right now. Until those people get tired and fed up, it's going to continue like this. But it could still change, and you never know. But in any case, over to Minnesota now.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Sergeant Toy Vixvong. I'm the Public Information Officer for the St. Paul Police Department. This morning, you will be hearing from Brooklyn Park Police Chief Mark Bruley, followed by St. Paul Police Department Chief Axel Henry, and then Hennepin County Sheriff.
Yeah, I hear you, Marty. Both comments, exactly, yeah, but it's people out here, the trolls, they got a lot of different kind of trolls these days,
Anna Witt. There will be time for questions.
What happened?
Because there's local and national news media here, please state your name and the news media outlet you're with. With that, Chief Mark Bruley.
Oh, Alex, yo, what's up? Yeah, he flipped the script. We're gonna get into that in a second. I just wanted to hear what news was coming out of Minnesota right now. But yeah, Trump definitely flipped the script, and this is what narcissists do, man. They either, they just waste a lot of people's time and energy, and of course, that's what a narcissist needs. They don't know how to get positive energy, so they get negative energy. But Trump the math, as I was explaining, is bad for American citizens. So I think he got the word. I think people told him, first of all, do you really want World War III to kick off? Number two, these tariffs, I mean, you're hurting the U.S. citizens the most out of anybody else. Everybody's hurt. They're hurt 3 times more. And so I think the facts prevailed. But I think the policy of Denmark, shoot first, also helped, you know. That's how you got to talk to a narcissist, you know. What? Lucid, hold on. What you talking about? You saying that you saying he even flipped the script on Renee Good when he found out her parents were Trump supporters? What? Are you serious? Damn. But again, this Trump supporting shit is dog eat dog. That whole thing. A lot of immigrants supported it. A lot of all kinds of people, women, black people, white women, white men, white women. Listen, white women, black men, immigrants. You know, it's like what is this weird group of people and they shoot and kill each other, like, and Trump is decimating them. Like, Trump is hurting their economy, their lifestyle. A lot of these red state people are going to lose their homes that voted for this guy, and it's just dog eat dog with this MAGA shit.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mark Bruley, Police Chief of the City of Brooklyn Park. Behind me is a bunch of amazing police
Yes, Rainbow, exactly. No wonder she left.
chiefs that are here in support of a very short but very important message that we want to share with you. What you won't hear from any of us today is the rhetoric of abolish be immigration enforcement. The truth is, immigration enforcement is necessary for our national security and for local security. But how it's done is extremely important. In fact, we have a long history of working exceptionally well with our federal partners, including
the big
ICE
house. I appreciate
agents.
that.
And we have seen the best of them perform their job extremely well in the past. With that said, recently, as the last 2 weeks, we, as law enforcement community, have been receiving endless complaints about civil rights violations in our streets from U.S. citizens. What we're hearing is they're being stopped in traffic stops or on the street with no cause and being forced to demand paperwork to determine if they are here legally. As this went on over the past 2 weeks, we started hearing from our police officers the same complaints as they fell victim to this while off duty. Every one of these individuals is a person of color who has had this happen to them.
Oh shit. So the Minnesota, state is about to open up on the feds, and I want to thank this man for saying that, because a lot of people, you don't understand, of course, discrimination exists, racism exists, gender bias exists, all kinds of biases and discrimination exists, right? These are real things people live with every day. But it's great to see a person understand that it exists and accept that it exists, you know what I mean? And speak out about it. You see what I mean? And yeah. So I'm happy to see this man do that, because it does make a difference. Because if we don't have good people of all different, looks and types speaking out, speaking real justice, then it feeds into the divide and conquer thing that these billionaires have, like, straight up. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot about certain types of racism. Like, I know a lot about discrimination, the laws, how it works. And I also know a lot about anti-black discrimination, how that works, like, in reality. But it's not something I wear on my shoulder. You see what I mean? It's not the only thing in life. You see what I mean? So I understand that it's important to understand other forms of discrimination too. And and how they intersect, right? So and how people intersect in that, And so seeing this police officer, that's one of the intersections. He's a cop, recognizing discrimination is real in his state. He's a quote unquote what a lot of Americans would describe as a white man. I don't know if he identifies that way, but typically That's what a lot of people would call him, especially on a police call. White male, white male jumped out of a car. You know what I'm saying? But listen, it's good to see him recognize this and him speak these words, because it does change minds, and it does have an effect, Now, to you stupid people that think that, something's wrong with him for doing that, nah, man, you're just looking at a decent person who's bigger than you, basically, and can admit it.
In Brooklyn Park, one particular officer that shared her story with me was stopped as she passed ICE going down the roadway. When they boxed her in, they demanded her paperwork, of which she's a U.S. citizen and clearly would not have any paperwork. When she became concerned about the rhetoric and the way she was being treated, she pulled out her phone. In an attempt to record the incident, the phone was knocked out of her hands, prevented her from recording it. The officer had their guns drawn during this interaction.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Like, why are they approaching a person this way? This is, and I'm not trying to say that there shouldn't be gender bias here, because a lot of men are not threatening either, or deserving of this kind of tactic, right? Approach. But in this case, it's a woman and they got the guns all pulled out on her. She's just, where was she? On her way to work or something like this? Listen, this problem is going to have to stop. And because people are pissed off about this and people aren't going to accept it. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I really hope these young people that have not joined ICE and maybe thought about joining ICE understand this. No, man, they're just using you for wrong. They're using you to create problems in the country, political problems, and they're using you to violate people's civil rights, and that's a serious offense. That's not a joking matter. That's a real offense. That is a life or death offense. You see what I mean? Violating people's civil rights. So that's what people have in the country. That's what makes them citizens. That's what makes them residents. But when you're doing it to a citizen, understand citizens go to work every day in the United States of America. They struggle every day in the United States of America. Even the ones that don't go to work maybe did at one point or have a reason for that, but they're still all citizens. So when this happens to a citizen, you're rubbing the wrong part, because if they're not going to be treated at least like a citizen is supposed to be treated in their own goddamn country, there is going to be a serious problem. It's going to be a serious problem. And the serious problem, maybe it started from the ICE side right now, but it hasn't started from the civilian side. And when civilians find out that, no, this is not going to stop by the courts, this is not going to stop voluntarily by the feds, some of these federal agents are in danger. Like, they are provoking something, and they need to be told that what they're provoking is something very bad for the country and could end the country. Like, start behaving when you wear that badge and you get and you're paid by the taxpayers. Like, don't ever forget, the United States of America, the citizens have more guns than the citizens of China and Russia put together. So, and they have those guns for one reason, to make sure you don't violate their civil rights. So you just understand that's what the majority of Americans think. A majority of Americans been sitting here watching this shit go on. And when it's time, the majority of Americans are going to reject it if the courts and the congressional members and the senators don't put an end to this shit. Like, yeah.
And after the officer became so concerned, they were forced to identify themselves as a Brooklyn Park police officer in hopes of slowing the incident and de-escalating the incident down. The agents then immediately left after hearing this, making no other comments, no other apologies, just got in their vehicles and left. I wish I could tell you that this was an isolated incident. In fact, many of the chiefs standing behind me have similar incidents with their off-duty officers. This isn't just important because it happened to off-duty police officers. But what it did do is we know that our officers know what the Constitution is. They know what right and wrong is.
And that's what it's supposed to be. I see so many people sometimes. I'm not talking about you all in the chat right now, but earlier, there's people that don't even know the Bill of Rights. They got opinions about how civilians are supposed to act. And you see what I mean? And if you haven't read the Bill of Rights, then you don't know what a citizen's how a citizen is supposed to be, right? That's basically it right there. And people need to read the Bill of Rights so you know what the problem is, you know, and so you get the core of what a citizen is, what a citizen's rights are, and how a citizen is supposed to be treated, and how a police officer is allowed to interact with a citizen. You're not just giving carte blanche over their goddamn life. You know, a citizen doesn't just have to do any fucking thing you tell them to do. It has to be lawful. It has to be according to the Constitution. And that is the only deal that is there. No one is obligated to go further than what is written in the Constitution for any reason whatsoever, no matter what you say, you know. And yeah, man, it's like these people going to find out, man. I think in some kind of way, it's a good moment that we have Trump because it gives everybody a chance to review the Bill of Rights and know exactly what that says, you know, so you can have some perspective on what you're putting up with right now. And I don't just mean that in terms of read the Constitution, not just the Bill of Rights, but read the whole damn thing. Read the point of what a senator's job is, what a congressional member's job is, and then ask yourself, why the fuck are they still there? Are they doing their job right now? What's the point of the Supreme Court? Are they doing their job right now? Nope. No.
And they know.
That's why you're seeing this.
When people are being targeted, and that's what they were. If it is happening to our officers.
Yeah. I'm not saying fight on the street, but listen, you know, I think at some point, if people are shown that the courts are not working, you know, with this kind of stuff, the only thing left is fighting on the streets, you know. And I think when you have police officers like this speaking out about this, that's a measuring stick. You know, we can use that as a measuring stick to see how hot or how cold the water is. And I'm pretty sure when you have a guy like this speaking out this way, it's because it's pretty bad and the courts ain't. Somebody's not doing their job correctly. Someone has not restrained the criminals. Someone have not restrained the people violating other people's civil rights. And, you know, you pay taxes. So, but listen to this again.
Her story with me was if they are here legally. About civil rights violations.
I just wanted to go back to the top just to, you know, to hear the beginning, how he opens this up, because he describes what it is. They've gotten so many complaints of civilians calling in saying their civil rights have been violated. And listen.
The past. With that said, recently, as the last 2 weeks, we as law enforcement community have been receiving endless complaints about civil rights violations in our streets from U.S. citizens. What we're hearing is they're being stopped in traffic stops or on the street with no cause and being forced to demand paperwork to determine if they are here legally. As this went on over the past 2 weeks, we started hearing from our police officers the same complaints as they fell victim to this while off duty. Every one of these individuals is a person of color who has had this happen to them. In Brooklyn Park, one particular officer that shared her story with me was stopped as she passed.
These are police officers being illegally stopped. Off-duty police officers being stopped, having their civil rights violated by another government agency, like that's supposed to be upholding the Constitution, i.e. civil rights, the Bill of Rights. This is astounding. But again, I do agree with that, like the thing about not fighting in the streets, because you got to give things time for for the obvious to be obvious to everybody, for the problems to come to the surface so people can clearly see what's going on before they react. But I think what's worse? What could be worse? What could be worse? They're just going around stopping people with impunity, even to the point where police officers are getting stopped and they have to complain, and it's multiple police officers being stopped and they have to complain. Like, yo, that means if they're doing this to the police, who is safe? Who's safe? I mean, and they're breaking the law to the police. So who is safe? Where's the law?
Person of color who has had this happen to them. In Brooklyn Park, one particular officer that shared her story with me was stopped as she passed ICE going down the roadway. When they boxed her in, they demanded her paperwork, of which she's a U.S. citizen and clearly would not have any paperwork. When she became concerned about the rhetoric and the way she was being treated, she pulled out her phone. In an attempt to record the incident, the phone was knocked out of her hands.
They knocked the phone out of her hand.
Prevented her from recording it.
Okay, Martin. See you, man. Peace.
The officer had their
I hear you, Dwayne. I get you.
guns drawn during this interaction. And after the officer became so concerned, they were forced to identify themselves as a Brooklyn Park police officer in hopes of slowing the incident and de-escalating the incident down. The agents then immediately left after hearing this, making no other comments, no other apologies, just got in their vehicles and left. I wish I could tell you that this was an isolated incident.
So were their faces revealed? Like, how would the officer even know who stopped him?
In fact, many of the chiefs standing behind me have similar incidents with their off-duty officers.
More chiefs behind him have similar incidents with officers describing the same type of things with the ICE agents being stopped while off duty.
This isn't just important because it happened to off-duty police officers, but what it did do is we know that our officers know what the Constitution is, they know what right and wrong is, and they know when people are being targeted, and that's what they were. If it is happening to our officers, it pains me to think of how many of our community members are falling victim to this every day. It has to stop. This behavior erodes the trust that these police chiefs have worked tirelessly for the last 5 years and theoretically the last 60 years to stop this exact behavior from happening. Now, I want to be really clear. I've called lots of other ICE agents and HSI agents and have talked to a lot of individuals about this. This is not widespread. This is a small group of agents within the surge in the metro area that are performing or acting this way. As a matter of fact, as rumors of this had spread, I've received phone calls from ICE agents and HSI agents indicating this is not how they act. This is not what.
I mean, it sounds widespread enough to me. Like, goddamn, how many? This is just one guy, chief, who has several police under him saying that they've been stopped by ICE while being off duty, racial profiled, by the way, also, right? Civil rights violated, right? But he's got several other ones behind him that have similar incidents, have officers complaining to them about the same thing. And he's saying it's not widespread. Shit. I'm sorry, yo. Maybe it's not widespread in a country that doesn't really give a shit, doesn't uphold the law a whole lot. But one time is way too many goddamn times for this. Like 2 times is way too many twice. 3 times is way too many 3 goddamn times. But we're not talking 3 times. We're talking maybe 10 times, 15, 20 times. Like, what the fuck? This is bizarre. This is bizarre, yo. This is weird. I'm sorry, this is wrong. He's gotten used to this happening. When he said this is not widespread, man, those are the wrong words. Those are the wrong words, yo.
What they do. Regardless, we're calling to action.
Yeah, he's changing the definition of what's widespread. What the hell is he talking about? It is widespread. Yo, if you heard these stories this many times, it is widespread. And he just like changed it to, it's not widespread. Like the words, like if you just change the words, it changes what happened. What the fuck?
That we have more supervision
He's
over
doing he's doing their job for them and shit.
the surge, that this type of civil rights violations have to stop. With that, I'll
Really? Oh, really? Oh, okay. So is it widespread or not? No, it's not widespread. So, okay. So does it have to stop? So it only has to stop a little bit is what he's saying.
turn it over to Chief Henry, the St. Paul Police Department.
I do think it's great that he had the courage to get up there, but now that I heard the rest of it, I'm like, man, come on, man. Save your fucking country, dude. Like, what are you doing? Save your country. Protect and serve, man. Like, get it on. Like, stop making excuses for this thing, because this is all a citizen has is their goddamn rights and a gun. You know, like, really. I mean, at the end of the day, if you strip away everything, then the gun is going to come. It's going to come down to the gun. And having said that, congratulations, Denmark, for telling your military you didn't have to. It was a standing order, but for re-emphasizing it that they have shoot first orders. Yeah, don't call Central to find out if you can shoot at somebody invading your country, invading your territory. So yeah. So exactly. And this is why I say, what is going on with this? He's making excuses. Listen, if you don't stand up against wrong, it's not going to stop with these people, because they know that's your weakness. Once they see you give that one little thing up, they take everything else they want. And it's people that just keep giving them one more fucking day, one more excuse. Like, no, man, you're going to lose your country to giving them excuses. You're going to lose it.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Again, my name is Axel Henry. I'm the police chief for the City of St. Paul Police Department. I want to echo the sentiments that were just said and share with you that we've had employees for our city that have experienced some of the same things. Thankfully, not with firearms drawn, but traffic stops that were clearly outside the bounds of what federal agents are allowed to do. We recognize by standing here today that some might say, you're only speaking up because this is happening to the cops. Others will say that we're speaking out against ICE, and that means we want rapists on the street. Neither of those things are true. We want to find some common ground. Law enforcement has more authority than a general citizen. That means we have more responsibility in how we behave. We have to find common ground here, and we have to figure out a way that these processes, which are clearly failing if American citizens are being grabbed or stopped or seized.
American citizens, American police. I mean, what is going on? What the hell is going on? I mean, how could it really be like this? I mean, it's police off duty, many off duty police officers getting stopped by ICE, all of them black. That's what they said. I think he said something like that, or all of them, something like that. That is terrible. That is terrible. Yo.
This can't happen. We have to make sure.
And now he's like, they have to find some common ground. But the common ground is the Constitution. They already ripped the Constitution up and threw it in the trash can. So how do you find common ground with someone like that when your job is to uphold the Constitution? How's that possible? Is it possible? I'm not saying this to critique what he's saying now. Like, I can feel he's making a plea to them, and he wants them to come, but, listen, the rest of us that have rights and don't experience this bullshit in our lives, right? Want to know. We want to know what this bullshit is about. I want to know. I don't think this is normal. I don't think this is normal at all. This is like, this right here seems more like a police state, right? What's going on right now. And to see the local police, the local authorities kind of, show that they don't have the right to operate separately on their own is kind of weird, and they're basically giving in to them. It looks like it. It looks like it to me. And of course it's a plea, but I mean, come on, man, you get paid by people's taxes. These police are also paid. They're paid by state taxes. All of the lawyers, all of the judges, all of the civil servants for the state are all paid by the citizen, by taxes. So what part of the job don't you understand? Ed, what's up? There you go. Yeah, what part of the job do they not understand? Right now, everyone's civil rights are being violated in that state, especially when you see that the police cannot ensure that their rights will be upheld. Like, this is sick. Something bad gonna happen. I'm just telling you, like, I'm a thinking man, and I know that there's other aspects to this. Like, there's other people watching. There's other groups observing. There's people saying, what's a good time to attack the United States of America? Right now would be a good time because, all we have to do is pretend we're some ICE agents, or all we have to do is, feed off of the frustration of the public not having their civil rights being upheld. And voila, we can mask ourselves inside of the people, hence, get away with whatever we want and stir up more trouble. That I'm telling you, if they don't get a hold of this, another hand is going to enter in the arena, maybe multiple hands, and you're not going to be able to identify who they are because they can just, they have all the operating room between the lack of the state and the lack of the federal government,
That everyone's civil rights are intact. I truly want to believe that.
Dwayne said no one paid tax this year in that state. I mean, I don't know, my man, but I'm just saying if they do, for any reason whatsoever, I'm just saying, even if you don't pay taxes, it's still a crime to violate your civil rights. But I'm saying, just to add insult to injury, people pay these motherfuckers,
There isn't anybody on either side of the political aisle that thinks that people's civil rights aren't important. They have to be the cornerstone.
Ed, yeah. It's an impromptu, Ed. I went early. I had a stream set up and started streaming, and it seemed like for some reason nobody else could see it. It was on public, so I had to start the stream over. So maybe that's why the notification didn't go out. But listen, I'm on now, and I'm going to be on for a minute, and then I'll be back at the normal scheduled time. That would be about, 8 hours from now? Something like that, right? So let's go.
Of everything we do. Yesterday, our country honored Dr. Martin Luther King, and I was struck by the fact, and I'm paraphrasing, but he once said, "We must learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools."
Okay, so let me see here. There's more. Yeah, that's great to hear, the Martin Luther King thing, and it's true words. But again, there's a lot of wonderful people that made a lot of profound statements about the United States. I mean, a lot of the founding fathers made very profound statements. What are they all good for at this point? Like, what are they being used for? I don't get it. There's plenty of reasons, profound statements and things, writings and things that these founding fathers said that aren't even being invoked right now, like straight up, not being invoked at all. You see what I mean? So I'm just curious about this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Let me know when you're good. We're holding this press conference because despite our best efforts to correct the record and engage directly with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, they continue to publicly repeat information that is inaccurate and misleading. This is no longer simple misunderstanding. At best, DHS fundamentally misunderstands Minnesota's correctional system. At a minimum, this reflects systemic data management inadequacies.
Oh, good looking out, Ed. I appreciate that.
Competence as it relates to DHS tracking of detainers in custody. At worst, it is pure propaganda. Numbers released without evidence to stoke fear rather than inform the public.
Okay, so he's talking about ICE statements, public statements. Let me see here.
Our best efforts to correct the record and engage directly with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, they continue to publicly repeat information that is inaccurate and misleading. This is no longer simple misunderstanding. At best, DHS fundamentally misunderstands Minnesota's correctional system. At a minimum, this reflects systemic data management inadequacies or incompetence as it relates to DHS tracking of detainers in custody. At worst, it is pure propaganda. Numbers released without evidence to stoke fear rather than inform the public. I'm here today because we believe Americans and Minnesotans deserve the facts. The Department of Corrections operates state prisons. We do not operate county jails. We do not operate ICE detention facilities.
I hear you, Eddie. Okay, that sounds like a good idea, bro.
We do not decide who receives an ICE detainer. When DHS conflates the processes and procedures of state prisons, and county jails, and ICE detention into a single talking point, the result is misinformation. That is what we're correcting today. DHS has repeatedly claimed that there are more than 1,360 individuals with ICE detainers in Minnesota custody. Despite requests, DHS has provided no data source, no tracking methodology, no jurisdictional breakdown, and no time frame explaining how their numbers were produced. We have asked to come together around the data. We have received no answer. At this point,
Yeah, this administration just wants to hide data. You know, they want to hide Treasury data. They want to hide. They're just all numbers. This dude is just continuing to tell you. They're spreading magical lies. And this is what I'm trying to say. Like, listen, things are not functioning, and I know people know this, but things are not functioning in the U.S. And that's not a good thing to happen, because that can only go on so long before something else happens, like straight up, and Pam, there you go. How you doing? Yeah, and I don't understand it. I'm watching from outside of the US as an American citizen. I don't understand this. It's not just that it's incompetence. It's that the governmental infrastructure is failing. Like, the government is not working right now. Like, it's not working. And that is a problem. That's a serious problem. And it cannot, things cannot get better. Things can only get worse when the government is not functioning, Yeah, so I'm just, and this is just another example, right, of it. If you ask me, ICE lying about what's going on in Minnesota in terms of their statements. They're providing no data to back up the statements that they're talking about. They've arrested this many people and all of this and blah, blah, blah. So it's all a sham. This thing about the police getting arrested, right? Not arrested, but stopped, by ICE. Man, there's loads of police officers, off-duty police officers that's getting stopped by ICE, yeah. And most of them are black, basically. And they said that, and I'm not talking about a handful. You see what I mean? Because it was just one captain who had several people in his own department, and then there's or in his own group, and then there's other captains that had the same similar reports. So this is just lawlessness. It's just lawlessness, and masquerading as a government, basically masquerading as a government entity, and things are going to get bad. I think things are going to get bad. And we know it's lawlessness because, it's just every aspect of this government is just ridiculous. I mean, the head law enforcer, the president, right? He just made an ass out of himself on the international stage like no one before. I mean, not that he hasn't. I mean, Trump has made an ass out of himself before like no one before, but now he's broke his own record. It's like, it's just so. That qualifies a lot when your leader is a damn criminal and making an ass out of himself on the international stage, like a bigger ass than has ever been in the history of the country. I don't think there's ever been a bigger jackass than Donald J. Trump in the USA, in the White House at least. And then you qualify that with this, or vice versa. You know, you qualify this with the president's actions and standing internationally, and you know, there's nothing good. There's nothing good happening. You know, people. I'm worried about people. I'm worried about people. You know, I'm worried about people's lives, like really, because I know myself. I have to have a normal life. I have to have things function. I need to wake up and know that, okay, for example, there's a government that's working on keeping the cost of goods down. Like in the EU, did y'all know there's something on the table right now? And I believe the Danish government has been talking about it too, where there's going to be no tax on fruits and vegetables. Yeah. That's what they're talking about over here in the EU. I don't know. And I think that might be coming very soon. And I don't know if the United States government is talking about that for its citizens. We know the United States government isn't talking about health care for everybody. They're not talking about education for every citizen. So I'm assuming they also not talking about ending taxes on, you know, vegetables and fruits and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because people got to eat, you know. If the government ain't going to work, then at least let people eat food cheaper and shit, and stop paying these goddamn taxes. Matter of fact, stop paying the parking bills. Can you stop giving out parking notices and shit like that to people? You know, all of this shit, just stop taxing people, because nothing is working. Nothing's working. Of course, there's some things working that people need. I know that, but just looking from the, I feel sorry, because I don't have any issue. I don't have any issue like this in my life. You know what I mean? I don't have any issue like this. My kids go to school. If I want to go to school, I go to school. My kids have health care. If I need to go to the hospital, I go to the hospital. I go to a doctor if I need it. My pension is taken care of, is in order, you know, because of my job. You know, what else is there? If I lose my job, I have 2 years unemployment if I need that, which I don't really need, because I just find another job. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I'm just really feeling really, really sad for my American citizens, you know, fellow citizens, because you know, everybody is supposed to have a government that works for their best interests, and works not just for their best interests, but works on their behalf. You know, yeah, the government shouldn't be there to decide really what's best for an individual. You know, people should have options and be able to pick from the options that suit them best. But right now, there's almost none with the basic things. It's like, you know, there's no tax. Somebody said there's no tax on food. Are you asking me? No. What's happening is the EU government, the EU Parliament, and the Danish government, also with local governments around the EU. But I'm not sure which ones of them are on board. But I know the Danish government is discussing cutting taxes on fruits and vegetables. That's not food per se. Fruits and vegetables are food, but that's just a sector of it, you know. So yeah, and I'm just curious, like, but this is just one thing I'm pointing out. I mean, there's loads of things to point out. Bad governance and good governance look nothing alike. They look nothing alike. You know, good governance, these things are factored in. People are inside of those structures. Pension, you know, housing, education, healthcare. People are inside of that part of society. You know what I mean? People are in it. You know, people make this up. The entire society. In a good government, everyone is accessing healthcare. Everyone is accessing education. Everyone is accessing housing. Everyone is accessing, you know, all aspects of life. All aspects of life. You know what I mean? And bad government is everyone's not accessing these things. Everyone's not accessing a vacation. Everyone's not accessing a wage that pays the bills, that pays their salary. I mean, pays their housing. Everyone's not accessing a job that allows them to pay their child care or other things. I mean, that's bad governance, you know. And I'm being mild, because the rest of this shit just going around on the streets, grabbing people, grabbing off-duty police officers, asking them for their paperwork, their IDs, grabbing citizens, throwing citizens away, this kind of shit, shooting people, shooting citizens, and trying to explain why and doing a bad job at it on TV. It's like things are not doing well, and I'm actually feeling it. So, but listen, I'm going to be back, y'all. This was just an impromptu, but I'm glad I got through a little bit of this stuff. And when I come back, I'm just going to deal with Trump pretty much. And what else was there? And the Jack Smith, stay a little more focused on those two things. But, yeah, man. The only bright side is that, Trump is still alive, letting everybody know that this is Trump's day. This is the day of the assholes. This is the day of the chimpanzees running government. And he makes it painfully obvious when he talks, what reality is really about and shit. Go Trump, yeah. And yeah. That's the only saving grace, that Trump is there, and it makes it painfully obvious that shit is not right in the U.S., right? If you got a president like this and you have a Congress that's capping for him, and you got a Senate that's capping for him, and you got a Supreme Court that's capping for him, and then you have others out there capping for him, well, then that explains everything for you in a nutshell. That explains the rest. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the shit that's not happening, there you have it. You know what I'm saying? But in any case, I'll be back. I'll be back in a bit, and at the normal scheduled time, and I'm going to put up the stream soon so y'all can see it. It will be in the live section. And until then, everybody be cool. The day's not over yet. We're going to make it through this. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you all. 8-1. Put a 1 in the air if you got health care. Put a 1 in the air if you got health care. Peace, y'all.
Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See, if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed. So just relax, just hear a dope track. Your vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax, and just hear a dope track. Your vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Your entertainment, at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hear the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills, cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. Here's your dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax and hear a dope track. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. My mind state, now balloon, it won't inflate. Just take the buzz, this much wiser kid, fuck the shade. And take it to a lower level, and dig a ditch for a devil. Got some more kids and pass the shovel. Dig a hole, take them on a
a spiritual role. Lyrics unfold, either that or unroll the scroll. Episodes keep reoccurring and stifling people's vision, get blurring, their hearts start murmuring. I'm about 5 times iller than a Sherman. The introspection is God's gift to the miracle. I freak material, lamb's milk without the cereal. When MCs say your booty, they mean venereal. Your fake material hip-hop killers, they more faking than fucking Michael Jackson and Thriller. The status of a hoe, Quanto Costa. They wanna know how much it costs, kid, I bet for keep tell
So
me
just relax and just hear and don't cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you could wear your hat. Just relax and just hear and don't cry. The vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you could wear your hat. Just relax.